Good morning. It's nice to see some early risers today. I like it. Thanks so much for joining us for our talk. I'm very pleased to have Adam Stockton, one of my clients here from KeyBank.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, we're going to sit and talk about some of the things that they've been doing, which are very unique, and speaking a little bit about impact and the organization and what impact is. So without further ado, shall we get started?
Sure, let's go ahead. So thank you for coming to the first session. We hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. So first things first, this discussion may contain forward-looking information. So be sure to consult your 10K or 10Q for any official guidance. And this is the first of many times that you'll see this. You'll be, quoting it, I'm sure, by the time we get to Thursday night. All right, a little bit about impact. This is a focus on the tailored benefits of the ServiceNow AI platform and how you can maximize the platform's capabilities through expert guidance, premium support, and health and observability. So in today's session, we're going to hear about ServiceNow Impact, which is a customer success product that we're powered by AI and the human experience. And it's a way to maximize the power of the platform for your business and transformation. So customers in every industry and support and expertise use Impact. It's not just for banks. And it's really a focus to personalize what a client needs at that particular time in their transformation journey. It tends to do four things, where we deploy and adapt innovations like AI faster, we measure value, we look at ROI of your ServiceNow investment, and we take and give you guidance from particular experts that you need so that you can move faster to adopting best practices. In order to optimize the platform, you've got to make sure that it's in peak performance and it's ready to go. And one of the other aspects, which is super vital, that I think you guys have used very regularly, is the continuity with 24/7 support, which helps you run smoother and helps you maximize your productivity. All right. So, Adam, first things first. How does it feel to be the opening act for Bill McDermott?
That's pretty cool. I don't know if I could match Bill's energy, but I did bring my shades and my leather jacket just in case I needed to try.
Nice.
Now I just need a bow tie and I can be the next Chuck.
Nice. Yeah, I'm not a fan of following. I always like to go before Bill, that's for sure. So let's go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about you.
Cool, so my name is Adam. I work at KeyBank. I've been with the ServiceNow platform as a user since about 2015. I started late 2016 developing in it, so I believe that was a Helsinki release. Never thought I would be doing it long enough to see the end of the alphabet, so it'll be weird when it comes around again. But I kept my interest over the years.
I love it. I'm Danielle DeFalco. I'm one of the leaders in our Impact organization. I specifically lead our banking practice for customer excellence. And so I really appreciate you coming and joining and being willing to talk to all of us about your story, because it's a very unique one, I think.
Yeah, of course. I think we've learned a lot over the years.
Yes, and we've spent 3 years together, by the way. The Impact Squad and Adam have been working in various capacities over the last 3 years.
Yes, we were one of the early adopters in the financial sector, so I think we were one of the first financial services companies on Impact, so it's pretty cool to see the evolution over the years as well.
Yeah. And I think the thing that's really interesting about the KeyBank story and what you guys have accomplished is that it's been like a story of mastering the pivot, right? Where we started 3 years ago is not where we're focusing today. Can you maybe share with the audience a little bit about, KeyBank, your story, and, what you've been up to?
Yeah, for sure. KeyBank is a Cleveland, Ohio-based company. We're a pretty large regional bank. We have a footprint in the Northeast and the Northwest and up to Alaska. So we stretch from like Portland, Oregon to Portland, Maine, as well as we have a few branches in Alaska. Has anybody watched that Deadliest Catch show from Discovery? So that harbor that they go to, Dutch Harbor, we actually have a branch there. Cool. We have a few footprints in other states as well from our capital markets area, so that's what the gray is.
When we first met 3 years ago, you had just taken over the platform, and you had just purchased Impact. So 2 things were happening at the same time. And we talked a little bit about where to focus, where to get started, where we would make the biggest difference. And we started with something called the Services Success Readiness Assessment. We'll call it the SRA for short. So we started with the SRA, and there were some conversations that happened of where to start, and you really thought that that was the right place. Can you share with everyone why?
Yeah, I thought that was a good place. We also have another slide we forgot about, but before we get to that, SRA, I really was interested in the SRA because it gave us a good landscape of like where we were with the platform from a perspective of our stakeholders. I had just taken over the platform right as we were signing Impact, so I took over the leadership role. I wanted to get a good gauge of like where we are, based on some, unbiased metrics that we could collect through our Impact squad, and that was a perfect fit for that.
So the bank's been around for a long time.
It has.
We'll give you a little preview. 200 years.
Yeah,
Tell
so
us.
we are actually celebrating a pretty big milestone here. So April 12th of 1825 is when we were founded. So we just celebrated our 200th birthday last year. So we're celebrating all year long. So I figured I would mention that.
Okay. So there's 4 different areas that we're going to kind of focus on today in our discussion, and to share how they've been catapulting success across these areas and what's unique about them. One thing to share is that every customer journey is truly unique. There is nothing, rote about Impact, and it's really fit for every client. So where we focus and what we do together just varies tremendously based upon client needs. So there are some clients who are brand new to the platform who perhaps are doing ITSM for the first time. There are other clients who have been on platform, over a decade at this point. There are those clients who are focusing on, deconstructing their technical debt that they have. They're looking to grow and focus on their overall governance and success of where they are today and where they want to go tomorrow. So it's a set of advisory skills and services and ingenuity that we're bringing to the table for all clients across industries. Everyone's focused typically on optimizing their platform, and it's a great way to be able to do that in a dynamic way. So when we talk about the things that need to be done, there are typically a few base items that are required, like some real foundational elements that need to be in check and on par and ready to go that actually lead to readiness. So I see that KeyBank and other banks traditionally try to take advantage of this by building and improving on this firm foundation that they've built over time. So when we talk about the firm foundation, it's the 3 things: the people, the process, and the tools along the way. And they ask themselves typically questions about what's your operational structure. Is it designed for the past, or is it designed for the place that you want to be? Are you ready for AI?
Yeah, so when we started with Impact, we were a fairly small shop. We were a team of 5 plus myself. And we've expanded over the years to a team of 16 plus a handful of contractors. So it was very important for me and for our team to get those foundational items right. So I like to use the analogy, right? You want to build a solid foundation to build your building on, because if you don't get that right, when you get up to a certain floor, you're going to have issues, with your foundation that you're built off, and then you got to go back and start all over again. So we focused on a few things, more like org structure and placement and skills and roles on that first, and then we kind of moved into like getting the initial governance right, getting our executive sponsorship where it needed to be in order for us to be successful and be able to continue to grow both the platform as well as the team that supported it.
Yeah, I would say that your team has been really laser focused on these areas for that period of time, for sure.
Yep, and we've made a lot of progress with your guys' help, as well as from our Impact Squad. So I want to give a quick shout out to our Impact Squad members, Ben, Brett, Wayne, and Mike. They did a fantastic job over the years. We actually have a couple originals on the squad from the original 3-year period, so that's really cool that you guys were able to help us do that as well.
Absolutely.
We had some really good fits.
Absolutely. So I think that, when you came and had really taken over the platform, and we started talking about the SRA, you felt pretty strongly that that's where we should start, since you were new and so forth. Share a little bit more.
Yeah, so Impact has a number of prepackaged accelerators. The SRA was an accelerator that it's a interview-based accelerator, so your Impact Squad will meet with a number of your stakeholders that you give their contact information for, and they ask, there's an 86-question survey that has 13 different categories, and that could be anywhere from building executive sponsorship to preparedness for an upgrade, standards and governance, and a few others. Things that ServiceNow felt were important for a platform team to focus on. And it gives you an overall landscape of where you are in that scope of that 13 areas. And it's a great way to get anecdotal, anonymized feedback from your stakeholders to get a good idea of where the perception is of the platform based on your stakeholders. We actually, as a platform team, participate in that as well, so our feedback. They're able to take that feedback, both the metric-based ones, so the questions, as well as the anecdotal like comments and commentary that come about answering them, because they actually sit down and meet with them and go through the survey together. So you get that packaged up and delivered to you.
So was it always in the cards that you thought that it would be an annual thing?
Yeah, so when we started, we went through the survey, we got the results, and there were a couple areas where, there may have been 6 or 7 areas that we had like deficient scores in. We wanted to focus on a couple of them, which we'll talk about in a second. But I never really thought of it as like an annual activity until our Impact Squad, about 9 to 12 months in, suggested to run it again. And then it kind of clicked like, oh, this is a great opportunity to get first of all, a baseline score, as well as, we were doing work to influence, say like executive sponsorship or standards and governance. Let's see how our work over the last year actually influenced the perceptions of our stakeholders and therefore should be reflected in the score. So it's a great like pulse check every year to see, all right, did the actual efforts that we accomplished in that time period, did it actually like influence our perception and how well we're doing in different things?
Yeah. I think, it really emphasized the fact that you guys were really serious about getting data-driven.
Yes.
In that space.
I'm always a numbers person, so I always like to see like hard data versus going off of feeling.
There you go. So this is a visualization of what the success readiness assessment looks like that Adam was referring to.
You get this heat map here, as well as the individual scores. We'll talk about a couple of them in a second. They do give you kind of like industry benchmark as well, so you can kind of get like a overall like feel of where you sit among some of your peers as well. Cool.
Let's take a look at some more of the details, right? So you mentioned that there's numerous topics, and you can kind of go in and out of the data as you will, because it's pretty data rich in that process. But can you maybe lean in a little bit more to how the numbers is really driving what you do day in and day out at KeyBank?
Yeah, so we actually use the outcome of the survey, which we'll take a look at, in a couple different areas. So we had 6 or 7 areas where we had lower scores where we could put focus, but we decided to focus on a couple different areas And they were more of those foundational things, that building blocks that you needed to do in order for you to kind of like flourish later down the road. So the three areas that we decided to focus on were effective governance, OCM and adoption, executive sponsorship. So those were the three areas that, based on what our impact squad both heard from the surveys as well as heard from meeting with us initially, were the core, like, foundational items that we wanted to focus on. So we put all our effort in terms of consuming other accelerators that helped with these areas, and Impact offers a lot of different prepackaged accelerators that you can run in order to, help build executive sponsorship, or help build a strategy roadmap, or help build your strategic governance. So it's really nice to have that content, and then our Impact squad can then take that, produce that as a recommendation based on what they heard also from there. So like, hey, we are hearing this as a common theme. Why don't you run this accelerator and focus on that? And that's what we've done. And we were pretty successful in bringing some of these scores up. And we continue to take this feedback. We'll be doing this survey again pretty soon. We like to call it like Wayne's Christmas in summer. So he dresses up as Santa, he gives everybody the survey.
Yeah, it's an exciting thing, and I think the thing that really stands out is the progress, because the things that they've been focusing on for each of these 3 years has been fundamentally different, and it's very tailored to the moment that they're in at that particular moment. So, when we talk about OCM and adoption, while it's a theme, what's actually been accomplished over those 3 years with you and your team has been pretty extensive.
Cool.
Okay. So I know you saw the benefits of different accelerators overall, but take us through how you utilize that in an engagement. There were a number of projects over the years that you've done, and you kind of have shifted your approach.
Yeah, we definitely learned as we go, and we learned how to best use the impact entitlements to help us be successful, not only just overall in like our strategy and our roadmap and our strategic governance, but also with our implementations. So I'm sure that this example that we're talking about will resonate with a number of you. In implementation that didn't quite go as planned. Nobody's had that happen, right? So let's talk about a little of the background information. So this was our business continuity management implementation project. We started initially in the beginning of 2023. Our older business continuity platform was in a platform that was at pending retirement. Part of it was in Lotus Notes, which we were still trying to get rid of, but are almost there. As well as another application that did the business plannings. So we wanted to bring that into ServiceNow. A lot of the data that it interacted with was in the platform as well, so it made a good fit. It was an early product, and as you probably know, the products mature over time. So there were a few challenges and a few bumps along the road. So we acquired the product, we started developing in it, and as we were implementing the requirements, we kind of came to a little bit of a sticking point. We had a few features that hadn't necessarily, they were on the roadmap, but they weren't actually in the product yet. So we had a few hurdles to get over in order to get to a go live. So at that point, we decided to interact with Impact, since Impact was a relatively new program for us. And we wanted to say, hey, we have this problem, can you help us with it? And what they were able to do is we were able to leverage our access to experts and our accelerators in order to help us get on the right track, help us get access to experts in the product area so we can meet with them and explain to their problem, as they actually gave us a lot of help in terms of some solutions or some workarounds that we can get this product out the door live, and then later on be able to roll back those customizations and use the out-of-box features. We were able to get connected also through that, access to experts to the product team as well, and we're able to actually have a pretty decent influence on the roadmap of the product, and we've seen a lot of that kind of come from there.
Yeah, and I think that was really pivotal, because at the time, time is always the most precious thing that we're all working against and towards, right? And with Adam and the team, not having to do that rework because they knew what was happening with the product, how it was intended to be used, really saved them from struggling in that space.
Yeah, so we definitely had a lot of lessons learned from this as well. Number one, we learned, engage your impact team early. Bring them in at the beginning of an implementation rather than when things go wrong. So we'd rather them be the individuals that come to your house to check the smoke detectors to make sure that they're working versus the ones responding to the fire, right? So we want to try and, be as proactive as we can.
Right. And it was a great learning ground. And I know one of the things that you did that I thought was really nice was doing a retrospective at that point, not just with us, but also in with your partner space, to make sure that we're taking all the lessons learned, even if there are challenges, so that we can move forward in a more strategic way the next time.
Yeah, we thought hey, let's take a look at how we approach this project, and we did a retrospective both with the Impact Squad as well as with our implementation partner, and we said, all right, if we were to do this again, how could we approach this differently? And we actually got a lot of good advice for our upcoming projects as well. Talk about one of those in a second here.
All right, and I think those are some of the major lessons learned. I think we've got those.
Yeah, so a couple things also in addition to this, and we really learned this as part of this project, is leverage Impact to bridge that communication gap between ServiceNow and our stakeholders. Our stakeholders, and again, that builds to the stronger relationships. You want to have a good, positive relationship with a vendor in order to be able to have that bi-directional communication. So if you're having a problem, it's a lot easier if you already have that relationship built to go to said vendor and say hey, I'm having this challenge, can you help me with it? Or is this something that's coming down the road? Or if from an impacts perspective, is there an accelerator that might be able to help me get over this hurdle that the Impact Squad already has prepackaged? So we really learned that, and you'll see that in a common theme kind of throughout our next projects, in that we learn, relationship first and leverage the entitlements first.
All right, shall we shift to the next
Cool.
one?
Cool, so we have one more project to explain. So this is kind of after we had learned all the lessons, this is kind of what we decided to do differently. And this project was our event management implementation, and this one went a lot better, both from the help from the Impact Squad as well as from our teams being able to run a project better based on the entitlements that we get from Impact. Cool, so this one kind of started about a year ago. Actually, it kind of kicked off right after Knowledge of 2024. So rather than wait until we had the fire drill in the middle of a project, we actually brought our Impact Squad earlier. We actually had some of them at Knowledge last year, which was really cool. So they helped us with some meetings in between their booth work. And we were able to bring them in early, actually before we even bought the product.
Yeah.
And we ran a few accelerators ahead of time, access to experts. We met with them. We wanted to talk about, very specific requirements for KeyBank. We were moving out of an old tool into ServiceNow. The old tool had a lot of historical requirements that were built into it that we wanted to, the ones that were critical, make sure that we were comfortable moving over into the platform and getting our stakeholders comfortable with it. So we were able to use that ahead of time. Our Impact Squad actually, as we were selecting our vendor, actually, once we had signed the contract, actually met with our implementation vendors, implementers as well, just be hey, I support the KeyBank account as well. My name is, Wayne, and if there's any problems that you see come about, reach out to us, and we're able to help as well. Especially with communication lines between ServiceNow and the product teams.
Yeah.
Cool. So that one went a lot better. And we found that using your impact entitlements and keeping them close to you throughout the entire implementation and even afterwards, maintaining that relationship was very important. And we felt that really helped us be successful in those those recent efforts. We actually have another project coming up implementing IRM, and we have actually already ran a couple of access to experts in order to get that continuity between the start of the implementation and when we actually start implementing.
Yeah, so setting those firm foundations and strategy and making sure that your teams are ready to receive and grow with how you're growing the platform is really vital. And I think you guys have been doing a really great job over the last 3 years in that space.
Cool. Relationship building is another important part of Impact, and we felt that Impact has helped accelerate the building of the vendor relationship between KeyBank and ServiceNow to the point where our executives are very happy with the level of service and the level of we have your back as well. We'll see from the quotes as well. So initially, as we started with Impact, we started to focus on the couple areas where we were most important for us. We were a very small shop. We were just trying to get our footholds as the platform was continuing to grow at a increasingly rapid rate. We continued to expand through year 2, and then year 3 really our team got so big that we actually had to add a layer of management under me because I couldn't have, from my CTO's comments, the entire bank reporting to me directly. So I actually was able to consult with our Impact Squad members, like our Success Architect and our CSM, about, hey, I have this problem now. Can you help me? Can I bounce some ideas off of you in terms of getting us set up for the next 3 years of growth and continual putting things into the platform? Yeah,
roles and skills in that center of excellence was a key thing. It was a great thing to see.
All right, so the money slide here. So we actually have a few tips and tricks, and since my monitor stopped working at the beginning of the presentation, so definitely make sure to use your impact entitlements. Use them early, get your Impact Squad engaged, and if you are able to do some work ahead of time, even before you purchase the product, you can still run the accelerator for it, and there's no obligations as part of that as well.
Great readiness.
Cool. Tip number 2. I always feel that it's important to be very open with your Impact Squad. Of course, we have an NDA between the 2 companies, so that's covered in terms of what we talk about. But I find that our Impact Squad is able to effectively serve us because we are very open with them. We tell them about our challenges, we tell them about the things that are coming up. We tell them about things that we may purchase even before we've actually signed the contract with our account reps. I hear from them that because we're very open versus some of their other clients, that they're able to serve us and they're able to meet our needs a lot more effectively versus a customer that really keeps their cards to their chest.
We really appreciate that because it promotes readiness, right? And that's what is so precious with time.
Cool. So tip number 3, involve your Impact Squad with your stakeholders. So get their names out there, get your stakeholders comfortable with talking with your Impact Squad. You don't want to be the bottleneck that everything funnels for you and you only have so much time in the day. Get your Impact Squad and get your stakeholders comfortable talking directly with each other and just having you copied on it. It really goes a long way with building that vendor relationship. So for example, like I own the ServiceNow relationship, but I want my stakeholders to also feel like they own the given relationship with the individual product that they own versus everything funnels through me. Cool. Tip number 4. So Impact is not necessarily a replacement for implementation partners. It's really like a 3-legged stool. And Impact is kind of like the glue or the seat that holds all the pieces together. So they're really like, you want to leverage both in an effective manner. And if you get that mix right, you'll be successful. Yeah. And we have a bonus tip for you. Just like everything else in life, you're going to get what you put into it. You get out of it what you put into it. You really want to put the effort into running these accelerators. You want to put the effort into meeting with your Impact Squad on a regular basis. If you aren't able to provide that level of engagement, the Impact Squad is going to have a very difficult time providing that same level of engagement back to you.
Yeah. Good tips. If you have any questions or want some more information, the expo hall is going to be open. As you go into the expo hall, if you make a hard left, the customer success area is over there. Feel free to come and talk with other clients like Adam, myself, and our larger team to learn more about Impact and see how it can potentially help your business or how you might be interested in shifting in your current Impact implementation. So Adam, thanks so much for your partnership and the time today.
Thank you for your help as well.